account every single month and you literally forget it. You just do something else and let it stay there. Now, if I'm investing in bonds, which is lending money to the government, for instance, and having them pay you 6% or 7%, or lending your money to a corporation like IBM, and then having you pay you 7, 8, 9% or more, the risks of bonds are even less. Putting your money out within 1 year is 19%. Within a 5-year period of time, there's a 4% chance that you'd lose money. 10-year period of time, 0 chance you'd lose money. 25-year time, 0 chance you're going to lose money. So the real secret is long-term, get it in, forget about it, and that makes the difference between the amateur investor and an investor who really does extremely well in the stock market. So let's look at our rules then again. No matter whether you're a pro at this or you know nothing about this, suppose your kids are selecting it. Make it that simple. The rules are basically the same. You add the consistency. Every month, it's dollar cost averaging. Number 4, don't blank blank unless you have a strategy for blank blank. In other words, don't get in unless you have a strategy for getting out. What's your strategy for getting out? Don't. What's Warren Buffett's favorite holding period by his own quote? Forever. That he buys them and he just sticks with them forever. That's his favorite holding period. He makes the right decision, buys a company with solid market dominance like Coca-Cola, Gillette, some of these companies like that, and he just never lets them go. Just keeps buying more and more of them because he knows over the long haul, big companies with solid dominances can't lose. So just don't get in unless you're planning on getting, if you're planning on getting out. Just don't start because the chances of you losing money in 1 year are real high. Okay, number 5, blank your money over several different investment classes. Yeah, this is called allocate. Allocate your money over several investment classes. You should, all of you, should have 3 kinds of investments. Each of you should have some stocks, most likely in mutual funds. Each of you should have some bonds, a bond where you're lending money to somebody, most likely in mutual funds. And each of you should have cash investments, just where you put your cash to park it for a period of time. Places to park your cash. The older you are, the more you should have in bonds. The younger you are, the more you should have in stock. If you're getting to be in your 50s or your 60s, you should be shifting towards bonds. And that's what this newspaper article that somebody put on my desk here just a second ago, that's basically what it's going to tell you. It's where you allocate your money. Therefore, if you're under 40, you should probably have 50% or more of your money into mutual funds. If you're over 40, you should be shifting that percentage where more and more of it goes into bonds. Well, how do I pick bonds and how do I know? You know, I open up a newspaper and I got lists of thousands of different mutual funds to pick from. How do I pick one? How do I pick one that has stocks and one that has bonds in it and some that are money market funds? Where do I go to pick that out? How do I do it? How did you make your decision? Who told you where to put your money?
You watch them.
Yeah, you watch certain funds, okay?
I picked the biggest.
You picked the biggest, all right? So she picked big. Probably went with Magellan, huh?
Fidelity.
So you went with Fidelity, which is Magellan, all right? Good. So I've got some money in Fidelity, too. Yeah, where did you put yours? How did you?
Determining what type of risk, high risk, medium risk, or low risk.
Higher, medium, or low risks. Yeah, but you go in the newspaper, and there's thousands of them. And they'll say, high growth mutual fund, you know, aggressive growth fund. They'll have all these words. I mean, how in the heck do you know the difference between bonds and where do you go for these answers? Well, how do I get the track record?
Money magazine.
Okay, I go to Money Magazine. Sure. I go to the library. Okay, go to Newsweek. All of them have various different reports. You know, here's one from U.S. News World Report here a couple of years ago. Best mutual funds. You know, you could get any magazine on your newsstand, and they'll rank them in order of importance. There are a couple of things that you probably want to watch for, and one would be how much does it cost to get in? And a lot of them will have a minimum of $2,500. How much do I have to invest every single month? Some will have, you know, minimums of $1,000, you know, every time you buy. Well, obviously that's going to knock most of us in this room out, and I don't want to put $2,500 every time I buy a mutual fund. I want to have the cheapest one I can get. I also want to have one that has very, very low minimums, so I can buy for $50 or $100. Are there any funds that come to your top of your head that you've heard that advertise that way? You can get in for $50. Anybody? Yes, back here? Capital, okay. Templeton, yeah, Templeton I can get in for that low of money. Any other funds that come to the top of your mind? Investors? See, I'm not trying to point out to you which ones you should or shouldn't buy. What I'm trying to cause you to be aware of is how are you going to make that decision? I think Janice can get in for $50 and invest every month for $50. There's a list that I can get on what I call no-load funds and load funds. Okay, so just make that quick decision. What's his best? Load funds or no-load funds? When I compare the actual returns from a group of people that are load funds, that means they pay commissions. You have to pay commissions. And every time you put $100 in, they're going to take out $4 or $5 for commissions every time you invest. That's a commission you got to pay. Versus no-load funds, where every time I buy $100, $100 goes right into the stock. I get 100% of it. Load funds would be commission ones, and no-load funds would be no commissions. If you look at the results over a 5-year period of time, for instance, which one of those wins the race? The load funds or the no-load funds? They're about even. It's about the same. It's about the same. In other words, even though you paid commissions, you're going to end up about the same as if you pay a no-load. And so the question is, if you are pretty good at investing your money by yourself, and if you like to make those decisions by yourself, then, you know, just make them with the telephone and do your no-load investing. If you're a total beginner at this, then call somebody up on the phone that lives in the area, a financial planner, for instance. You probably all know somebody in your circle of friends who's a financial planner, which means they sell something. And call them on the phone and say, you know, what do you represent? Tell me what the commissions that you're charging on your funds. Are they load funds? Yes. And you need to find out what their track record is. And then if you're totally ignorant at it, let them guide you for a while until you get the feel of it, because pretty much over a 5-year period of time, there will not be too much difference between whether it's load or no load. Okay? Now, I can recommend the names of a couple people that I really like to use in this area that are financial advisors. One of the fellows that helped me do some of the creation here is a fellow by the name of Saul Klein. And I absolutely love Saul. I think he's great for giving great advice. And there are everybody has a name or two of people that they like to go to. Just the key is pick somebody and get started immediately. That's the real key. Whether you're in Canada or whether the United States, it doesn't really matter. Now, some of you like to get really into it and tinker around with programs. There's a program from Morningstar that can analyze the rates of the funds. And there's another what's another company that does analysis of mutual funds? There's just another one recently. I think it was Lipper or Morningstar is good. Can't remember the other one. Morningstar, I went into my computer program. It's a CD-ROM. It cost me about $500. And on my own computer, I can pull out funds based upon their performances. And so I can put the criteria. And I was looking for funds that I can get into for less than $1,000 and sometimes $2,000. And I wanted to look at the highest funds that had the highest return. Now, this is about a year old, so this is not for your investing purposes now. It's for illustrated purposes for you to see. What Morningstar gave me was this chart right here, which talks about this year, the funds that had the highest total returns for a 1-year period of time. In order to get into Fidelity emerging markets, I don't know where they are now. They might be underwater now. But back then, it cost me $500 to get involved. That was their phone number. And that was their total 1-year return, 81.76%. Is that pretty good return? Okay, over a long period of time, it probably isn't 81 for very long. It's 81 minus 20. You know, 14 minus 2, 75 minus 42. You know, over a long period of time is the real key. How consistent is that? But this shows me on my computer program with Morningstar exactly what rates of return I can get on whatever these funds are. And there are just thousands of funds. It's just overwhelming. here are a couple of funds that I picked out. I said, I want the cheapest funds to get into. I want the ones that I can buy for the lowest amounts possible, but they have to yield at least 15% per year for a 15-year period of time in a row. And so it gave me 11 funds. You know, it narrowed that, of all the 6,000 funds out there, narrowed it down to 11. For instance, Templeton Growth, I can buy it for $100. I can buy Templeton Growth, and every month I can buy $100 of it. There's their phone number. Their 3-year return was 22.01%, and their 15-year annualized return was 16.25%. And there are 11 of them here. Now, like I'm saying, these are just for illustration purposes, but as you narrow things down, you can see that there are some have long track records with high rates of return over a long period of time, and there isn't anybody here who couldn't afford $25. That's $1 a day, isn't it? 30 days in a month, $25. Your kids could get a $25 mutual fund. American Leaders, Pioneer, United Income. I really don't know if these are good today, but I'm just trying to say that there is a universe of probably hundreds of funds that your kids could get. Let me tell you the difference that happens with your kids when you start showing them a statement when it comes in the mail and it shows their statement. It says, this is your money. You know, that money that we take out of your allowance every week and we put it into your mutual funds, here it is. You know, these kids start really catching on after a while. And you're driving down the road and you just got the mail and there's their statement in there. And it's got their name on it. And they open it up and it shows thousands and thousands of dollars in it because of the decisions that we've made together. Not only their mutual funds, but which specific stocks to buy. So the kids, they just love it because they can say, hey, for $25, it's $1 a day. I can operate like a New York level. And that's what each of you should be doing.